Oh, you didn't know? Your monkey ass better call someone.
Laughing aloud now, magic in the air. Wands roll around us, cast away our care. Friends in the hallways, adventures we find. Spells and enchantments, trouble on our mind. That's so wizards, oh, 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 oh. Life is a spell we know. We're casting joy and glow, oh, oh. That's a wizard show. Mischief in the classroom, potions gone astray. Flying through the quad now.
I know we're not supposed to point our fingers and laugh when somebody is failing as miserably as Wizards of the Coast is, but it's Wednesday, and that's what we do. Can I just start off the day with this? I'm going to read it slow. 90% of the D&D Project Sigil team laid off, including the senior vice president of digital at Wizards of the Coast. For those of you who've been living in the closet or don't care, Project Sigil is the name that Wizards of the Coast has given to their blockbuster, genre-bending, paradigm-shifting, single greatest thing ever since sliced bread, VTT, that you have to pay to use after you pay to use D&D Beyond and pay to use the AI Dungeon Master. It was announced 2 weeks ago after months, years, days, 25 seconds of play testing. We got to see bits and pieces of it over the past year or so. And we were like, it kind of looks like a video game. It kind of looks like Baldur's Gate 3. Actually, it doesn't really look like a VTT. And then it was announced. It was released. It's ready. It's done. Look, here it is. You can use it today. Except we don't have it. Yeah, we let the staff go. Why would you leave the staff go? I don't know, because Wizards has not offered any really reason though. I mean, the beta was only made public 3 weeks ago. Andy Collins, who's worked on multiple editions of the game going all the way back to 1996, was let go. And we know that seems the scope of the project has been cut back to make way for, I don't know, I guess a VTT that will actually work, or Wizards of the Coast realizing that, you know, instead of making our own, we could just continue to license out the product to other VTT companies who are going to do a much better job, and they can do all the work. We can suck up the profits, and we don't have to pay a bunch of people to make a substandard VTT/video game. 30 people, including the senior vice president of digital marketing, have lost their job today because Wizards is dumb. And Wizards and Hasbro dived into a untested AI, untested computer system stuff. Now, we're going to say this now, and then we're going to say this again. The fact that Wizards of the Coast is doing all these digital conversions should not come as a surprise to anybody, because once again, let me remind you for the millionth time that they told you they were going to do this in 2020. They told you again they were going to do this in 2022, again in 2023, 2024, and as recently as 2 weeks ago, Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro has been abundantly clear about their plans for your beloved Dungeons and Dragons franchise. The CEO of Hasbro, Lord God King Christopher Sucks Cox himself, and Jeremy I'm the latest clone Crawford have both said digital is the future. So yeah. Now we have some sales news. Apparently Wizards is continuing to fumble genius. Oh, a comment already. Sad to see people losing their job. Diversity and Dragon said there were some pretty good creatives that work on this. There probably were. They're probably too creative, or they're probably too good, or Wizards realize that, hey, this is money we don't have for a product nobody's going to buy. And, you know, I mean, devil's advocate, it is more economically sound to farm out the product to a, you know, a established VTTs like Roll20 or Alchemy, have them do all the work, and then you just siphon off that extra, you're using our product money. You use Beholder, that's a dime. You use a doppelganger, that's a dime. You're doing all the work. You're taking all the hype and all the negative publicity. When anything good happens, of course, we'll step forward and say, hey, D&D, that was us. But we don't actually have to do any work. So we can let these 30 people go because we don't need them. And we know we don't have the money because D&D is bombing hard. This is from our good friend Professor Dungeon Master, who has access to super secret, double secret, super secret things like numbers and stuff like that tell you when things are out and what's selling and stuff like that. And the sales numbers for D&D 2025 are pretty abysmal. Now, where they compared it to pre-OGL debacle, and they compared it to the sales of Tasha's, because seemingly of all the products that have been made since 2024, Tasha's was the fastest and biggest seller until the Player's Handbook of 2025. Now, they don't, this is only going back to 2014. It's not, so anything from 5e going forward, Tasha's was number one. So if they're, so I guess Tasha's is the benchmark. Tasha's is also, I guess, in the nebulous timeline. God, I can't talk this morning, guys. Of course, I did chip a tooth last night, so that's why. The nebulous timeline, we would say the D&D 5 is 2014 to whenever they let Mike go. 2019. Then 2019 is D&D 5.1 to when Tasha's came out, which was, I don't know, doesn't really matter. And that was when the big change, right? That was when the huge, wow, you're really doing this reverse racism player advocacy stuff. So Tasha's is the benchmark. And I guess according to people who understand these things, Tasha's sold really, really well. And sold a lot and sold very quickly. And then D&D Player's Handbook 2024 came out, and D&D Handbook 2024 came out. Big claim to fame was it was the fastest selling D&D product ever, faster than Tasha's. Of course, what you neglect to mention when they were figuring out those numbers was all the copies that were sold at, the convention 3 weeks before, and all the copies that were sold through pre-sales, and all the copies that were sold at the friendly local game stores that were lucky enough to get them a week in advance because Wizards violated street date, which is a big no-no. Which, of course, then we found out that some of those numbers were a little exaggerated because when people went into the warehouses to double-check the inventory, they found stacks of boxes of product sitting in the warehouses that Wizards was sort of going, yeah, those. So Wizards is being sued, as you know. So some of those numbers don't really mean what you think they mean. So compared to Tasha's, again, because for reasons Tasha's is the benchmark till today, yeah, numbers are doing really, really bad. Q1 is not looking good for D&D. Player's Handbook apparently didn't sell as big as they claimed. Monster Manual, DM's Guide, meh. The new starter set actually is doing better than people expected, mostly because a lot of people wanted to see Keep on the Borderlands and how they bastardizes it. And apparently the starter set is pretty good. And then they announced Sigil, and then Sigil crashed. Wow. It can't get any worse, can it? Oh, wait. Yeah, it can. It just. So this comes to us from our good friends at the Dungeon Masters Guild, who are, as you know, is the site that puts up all the thingies of D&D PDFs. Now, this should not come as a surprise to anybody, because again, we're going to cycle back to that statement about 2020. Turns out, shock, gasp, amazement, that according to the new contract between Wizards of the Coast and the DMs Guild, any product you or I make available for sale on DMs Guild becomes the property of Wizards of the Coast, and they can use the AI to farm your content without telling you and without paying you. So if you've submitted a module or an adventure or even a one-page whatever on DMs Guild /drive-through, the nebulous, mysterious AI, WizardsNet, Skynet, whatever you want to call it, WokeNet, can go through those products and gobble up anything it finds interesting and then regurgitate it and present you with a new product. And they don't have to tell you, and they don't have to pay you, because technically the second you upload anything to D&D Beyond or now Drive-Thru or DMs Guild, becomes theirs. A lot of people are like, how could this happen? And I'm like, because they told you it was going to happen. Now we could rattle our cages and get out our pitchforks and light our torches and go screaming and yelling to the doors of the soon-to-be abandoned headquarters and say, free Chris Perkins, and stop cloning Jeremy Crawford. And by the way, look at all the shitty stuff you're doing. And Chris Cox is going to come out and go, but we told you we were going to do this. Now, Chris Cox came out last week, and again told us about the plans for the AI assimilation of Wizards of the Coast product. And that the fact that the future is digital, and that the fact that they're going to be cutting back on physical product. And then, of course, after saying they're going to cut back on physical product, they announce, 2 new books that we didn't tell you about. I know we said we were only going to make these books this year, but we lied. We're actually making more books. And by the way, some of the stuff that you're seeing online is only going to be in these new books. So if you want the new Eberron stuff, you got to buy the new book. Oh, no. Now, here's another one. In addition to the digitization, there's now going to be a separation between church and state of the digitization, which means some of the digitization will be on D&D Beyond the app, while other of the digitization will be on D&D Beyond through your computer. And apparently the app and the laptop are accessed normally through the website are different. So there will be things on the app that won't be on D&D Beyond the website, and there'll be things on the D&D Beyond website that won't be on the D&D Beyond the app. Plus we have the now, I don't know what's going on with the VTT, Sigil, that just fired 90% of their staff. I don't know what that means. Is Sigil done? Are they, whatever? I'm hypothetically, after the Baldur's Gate disaster, maybe they're realizing that, again, like I said, it's more cost effective to have somebody else do the work. If somebody gets upset on the future VTT, well, that's Roll20. Get upset at them. Don't get upset at us. But if it's successful, then Wizards can go, yeah, that was us. And if the people hate it, they can go, that was Roll20. So not only has Chris Cox informed us once again that, yes, everything's going digital between now and 2030. Not only has Jeremy Crawford informed us, Jeremy Crawford, of course, also informing us of the 5-year plan for D&D 2024, 6th edition, whatever you want to call it, that they only have 5 years worth of stuff planned. They only have 5 years of worth of stuff that they're going to make. And then that's it. Because, again, no more physical, all going to be digital. But now you're going to have the app on your phone and the website running the VTT, which may or may not exist, running D&D Beyond, running the AI Dungeon Master, which is also going to be a pay-to-use tiered system, paying for all the DLC, paying for all the cosmetics, paying for all the stuff that's exclusive to the app, as well as paying for all the stuff that's exclusive to the website. And again, there's going to be some stuff that's only available on the app that's not available on the website, and vice versa. So you've got to be going through both. And of course, we now, again, not backwards compatible. So yeah. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, Shadowdark is rapidly spinning towards hitting $2 million without doing much of anything, despite some of the ridiculous prices. Kelsey, I love you. I appreciate everything you've done. You're my hero, but $59 for a PDF is ridiculous. I would have gone 20, which, you know, I backed it, but the PDF needs to be like 20 bucks. Side note. So whatever happened to those stacks of books that were sitting in the warehouse when the inventory people discovered them that led to the lawsuit? Where are those? Where, because they weren't at the yeah, I appreciate everything she's done and it looks amazing, but nobody, I'm not paying $59 for a PDF. I'll pay 20. But she's still looking to hit 2 million, so she's doing something right. I'm just not going to have it, but I'll support her. Where are those books? Where are those books? Where are those books? Where are they? Because they weren't on the shelves at Target. They weren't at the shelves at the friendly local game store. I was just at Barnes & Noble over the weekend. They didn't have any Dungeons and Dragons stuff up at Barnes & Noble. Not a single product, not even the new starter set. So where are they? Are they going to be for sale at the next con? No, because we're just hearing word from Gamma. Gamma just happened. Very little representation from Wizards. So I guess we can expect them to show up, if they're not already there, 20% markdown over at Ollie's or whatever the equivalent of Ollie's is. I don't have an Ollie's here in Ventura, but apparently it's a big thing everywhere else. And as you know, that's where all the marked down D&D stuff is migrating to. And I'm not just talking like that one obscure thing. No, stacks of books are showing up at Ollie's. Pretty much everything D&D 5 you can get at an Ollie's somewhere, superiorly marked down. And I think they have an online store. I'm not sure, because again, it's not a Southern California thing. I guess it's like a Midwest thing, like Wawa or, you know, Buc-ee's or Harmony Ginger. So all those books that were sitting in those shelves that Wizards of the Coast went, oops. Oh, we don't know where those came from, but don't worry about it because we're going digital. 90% of the staff, 30 some odd people just woke up this morning going, on a Wednesday, you're fired. We don't need you because the thing we just invested all that money in, well, we're rethinking it. Sorry. And that senior vice president is like, but, and that guy who's been there since 1996 is going, but, and Wizards is just going, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, yeah, we don't need you. And you know that it's bombing hard. It's bombing hard. Sorry, it's D&D as we know it is bombing. The future of the tabletop role-playing game industry is, in name, always probably going to be Dungeons and Dragons, but in actual physical wherewithal, it's niche little thingies like Shadowdark. That's where people are going to go. People are going to look at the glut of Wizards and the constantly failing forward of Wizards, and they're just going to go, no. I mean, but in Wizards' defense, much like with the new woke Snow White, even if it's abysmal, it's still going to make them money because it's D&D. The Disney Snow White, you know, is still going to make Disney money. They don't care about the negative reviews. You know, somebody said Disney can make a movie about a piece of a turd and it would still make money. So same thing with D&D. Hasbro, as long as they own D&D, especially with the branding of D&D and their plans for their branding, they're always going to make money. It's just never going to make that 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, 23 money because people are frustrated and the numbers don't lie. Again, you know, we look at the numbers pre-Tasha and then the Tasha numbers, which is still the largest, most successful product they've had since 2014. And then you look at the numbers post Tasha, and then you look at the numbers that came out in 2024, the bloated numbers of the Player's Handbook sale because they violated street date, and then they sort of misled the inventory people, which leads to them having a major lawsuit against them. And now they're saying, yeah, I know we just hired all these people to do this digital thing, but we don't need them. You're fired. I guess we could pay you unemployment, but oh no, that might be another department that Trump shuts down. So it might be months or even years before you get any employment. But don't worry, I'm sure you can find another job somewhere. We might even hire you back in a couple of years, because 2027 Dungeons and Dragons 6X is still on the thing. And Chris Cox and Jeremy Crawford are both telling us 5-year theme, 5-year lifespan. You have to realize the cost of printing PDFs has gone way up, especially if you want nice bindings and a cover. Well, the whole point of PDF is I'm not going to print it out. If I'm going to print it out and then I want a physical copy, then I'll pay for a POD. I'm not paying $59 for a PDF and then going, am I going to spend another $20 to print this out? But I know there are people who do. And then you're like, well, then just get the POD. Kelsey, the prices need to come down. There are no PDFs, by the way, on D&D Beyond. You can't just go to D&D Beyond and download them like you can another site. No, they've got that whole weird thing. So you got to have D&D Beyond on your app. You got to have D&D Beyond on your computer. You got to have D&D Beyond on your cyberpunk glasses and directly beamed into that chip in your brain, because it's still going digital at the end of that 5-year lifespan. Don't believe me. It's there in print. Crawford saying it. Cox saying it. They're just doing what they said they were going to do. They're just doing it badly. And as much as I want to point fingers and laugh at Wizards of the Coast, 30 people lost their job today because Wizards of the Coast is stupid. But
laughing aloud now, magic in the air. Wands roll around us, cast away our care. Friends in the hallways, adventures we find. Spells and enchantments, trouble on our mind. That's so wizard, oh, 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 oh. Life is a spell we know. We're casting joy and glow, oh, oh. That's a wizard show. Mischief in the classroom, potions gone astray. Flying through the quad, now brighter every day. Laughter we cry hard, sneaking out at night. Cloaks in the moonlight, everything feels right.